Welcome to a Hopefulist hot take. What is patriarchy? That's right. We're going to be talking about what exactly patriarchy means today. I've been hearing a lot of questions about people don't know what patriarchy is. You know, what does it mean? It's confusing. It's political. It's all of these things. In a nutshell, to me, patriarchy is a system built by men for men at the expense of women. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, first and foremost, the institution of marriage. The institution of marriage is a system that is basically to help men get everything that they want in life. They can focus on their career and making money and satisfying their life purpose while also having a family, because they have a wife that will be able to take care of all of the household needs and the taking care of the children. So when men leave and go to work every day, that is his job. His job is to provide for the family. And historically, traditionally, everything else is left up to the wife to take care of all the household needs, to take care of the children, to basically do everything else. And it's worked this way for centuries, and it has not really been questioned. That is just the way it is. That's what we've always heard. That's just the way it is. Well, I've decided to start questioning why things are the way that they are. And even if it's just the way it's always been, doesn't mean that it's right or that's the way it should continue to be. Now, from an article I've read from CNN, it says a society is patriarchal to the degree that it promotes male privilege by being male-dominated, male-identified, and male-centered. It is also organized around an obsession with control and involves as one of its key aspects the oppression of women. Now, let's talk about one of the words I just mentioned in there, male-centered. That is what this country is completely based on. Our country is male-centered. What I mean when I say that is we talk about what men need to do. We don't talk about what women want or need to do for their own life satisfaction. It's all about helping man pursue his dream. But we never talk about women and their dreams. Now, as an example of this, my husband and I have been having a lot of conversations lately because I just got this Aura ring, which is a health ring, and it's caused me a little bit of obsession with my habits and what my habits and how it affects my body. So my husband and I, typically a couple who would, Friday night rolls around, we're going to have a couple of beers, and we're going to do that again on Saturday, and we're going to do that again on Sunday. That's what we do. That's what we've done for the entire time that we've been married. We have fun. We listen to music. We play some games. That's the way it's been for the last 12 years. But since I've gotten this ring, I've realized that drinking is very detrimental to my health. It's very detrimental to the quality of sleep that I get. It's detrimental to the energy that I have the next day. You may or may not also know I am a huge fan of pickleball. I play that typically 6 to 7 times a week. It's something that I love and enjoy so much that I want to make sure that I am healthy to continue to play it for decades to come. Because I know that when I'm 80, I will still want to play pickleball. So that's another reason why I want to get into better health. So a lot of the time that we spent over this summer was me not drinking as much because I wanted to make sure that my sleep quality was good and that my energy was high. And instead of, you know, being proud of myself for making a decision to better my health, what I did was feel guilty for basically changing the contract between me and my husband. All I kept thinking is, well, we've done this for 12 years, and who am I to all of a sudden say, well, I'm not going to do that anymore? That's not fair to him. He hasn't said this. I said it to myself. And then I've had discussions with him about it. And he said, well, of course, if you want to get healthier, that's a good thing. So luckily, he is evolved enough to see that even though I really am changing the contract, that it's in my best interest and eventually will be in his best interest too, because I will drag him along on my healthier lifestyle. But here comes the part that is patriarchal. My whole thought process through this whole thing was how it would affect him. Why it would be unfair to him. This is what I'm talking about when I say that men are centered. We always do everything thinking about how it is going to affect the male in a relationship. Never once did I say, well, I wonder how he's going to change to keep up with my changes. Never once did I question that until just recently. It suddenly just occurred to me that, maybe he should be worried that I'm making big changes in my life and how he's going to fit into those changes instead of the other way around. That's why this is a patriarchal society, because we don't even think that we have the right to change things, to better our own lives, if it's going to negatively affect the man in our life. That is called centering men. There are so many examples of how men are centered and how men are privileged and benefit more in these societies. And make no mistake, the U.S. is a patriarchal system. It was built on a patriarchal system. We are still in a patriarchal system. Now, in many parts of the world, patriarchal norms means that girls get little to no education. Obviously, that is not the case here. Thank goodness. They may be married off young. They're trying to do that again here. If you're paying attention to any of the Republican states, they have all just either stripped away marriage age requirements or decided to leave the old ones on the books, which means that girls can get married as young as 12 in some states in this country. That's right. Women can get married. Again, girls, not women. 12-year-olds are not women. Girls can be married in some states in the United States as young as 12. The patriarchal norms also mean that you have little or no control over their bodies. What does that sound like? That sounds like the government telling me what I have to have and not have according to their standards. Now, the control over the bodies is not just about abortion. It's about whether you can have access to contraception. Another thing that we have been seeing, that they are trying to limit, control, or take away altogether. Patriarchies are characterized by unequal pay for the same work. Yes. Less research on conditions that disproportionately affect some genders more than others, like endometriosis, migraines, menstrual cycles, menopause. They don't even research that. They hadn't even researched that until just recently. There's a sense of entitlement to sex and pleasure by those who embody more masculine genders, and the existence of period poverty, which can affect all those who menstruate, and the pink tax, which means that things that women buy are more expensive. So not only do we make less money, but we have to pay more for the things that we buy. And let's not forget that men don't have to buy makeup. They don't have to go to the hairdresser and get coloring and highlights and all of this stuff. You know, they can get a basic haircut at a barber shop for $14. When is the last time you paid $14 at the hairdresser? I've never paid $14 at the hairdresser. I can tell you I just got my color done and got a haircut, and that was $96 for just a touch-up and a haircut. It was $96 and then a $20 tip for the hairdresser and a $5 tip for the shampoo girl. So, yeah, that's a lot of money. Men don't have to spend any of that except $14 of it. They don't have to buy makeup. They don't buy all of these fancy clothes that cost not only astronomical amounts of dollars, but costs more to clean at the dry cleaners. So these are some examples of how a patriarchal system works. And it's so insidious. It's so built into us because we were brought up in this system. And again, it's just the way that it has always been. We just take it. We just take their word for it. Now, we women, especially my generation, Gen X, were told that the ultimate goal was to be wife and mother. We always were told the goal was to be wife and mother. So what happens when we become a wife and a mother? We center our husbands and our children's lives. When is it our turn? When do we get to do what we want to do according to this patriarchal society? You know, I did a podcast not that long ago talking about how when I got married at the age of 41, I thought that was finally going to bring me the happiness that I always thought I would have, that I always dreamed I would have, because I was conditioned to believe that marriage was the end goal, that marriage was the ultimate prize. And when I didn't wake up the day after the wedding or a week after the wedding or even a month or a year after the wedding and I wasn't magically happy, I felt like I'd been cheated. I felt like I had done something wrong. Why is marriage the end-all prize and I'm still not happy? I still don't feel like I have my prize. Well, the reason was because I was lied to. Because it's not just about being married. That's not the prize. The prize is truly figuring out what it is going to make you happy, with or without a husband. And this is really the crux of what I wanted to talk about today. This is the perfect example of patriarchy. We hear a lot of talk about women choosing to give up dating. They're choosing to be alone. And what men are doing is painting these women who are choosing to be alone as horrible, lonely people who will always be unhappy and die alone. That is what they're saying. Oh, you're going to die alone with your 7 cats. Instead of bringing up the fact that men and relationships with men have become so taxing to women that they would rather live with 7 cats and potentially die alone than be in a relationship that makes them feel less than, that makes them feel like a servant, that makes them feel like their needs don't matter. Because that's the crux of it. The crux of it, it's not a reflection of women that they want to be alone with cats. It's a reflection of men. It's a reflection of the fact that men are not offering us anything that we would choose over being alone with 7 cats. That's the real issue. And patriarchy is the ability to paint the woman as being the one who's crazy when it's really the men who have nothing to offer. That's patriarchy. You want more examples of patriarchy? I've got them. When you have a service man come out to the house or a service person come out to the house, it's usually a man that does this, though, and they figure out what needs to be done to fix the heater, fix the hot water heater, and all kinds of stuff. Well, I'm going to need your husband to sign off on this work order. Why? What if I don't have a husband? Are you going to turn down the work? Yeah, this still happens. It just happened to my friend this week. Patriarchy is when a woman goes to the doctor, finds out she has a gene that could lead to breast cancer. So she decides to get a mastectomy in order to avoid getting breast cancer. And the doctor demands to speak to the husband to make sure it's okay with him before he goes ahead and does that procedure. Now, I ask you this question. What does it matter to the husband if a woman needs to remove her breasts to avoid a disease that can kill her? Breasts are just eye candy to men. It's just something for them to play with. You know, we're not talking about getting your tubes tied or something that could, really affect the outcome of their life, like not being able to have children anymore. No, we're talking about something that doesn't have any impact on their life. Realistically, has no impact on their life. But yet the doctor wants to speak to the husband before he goes ahead and does a procedure on her body? Yes, this still happens. I've seen people talk about it. This is what patriarchy is. This is what I'm fighting back against. Because in 2023, we shouldn't be here any longer. And not only are we still here, we're still so far from people, women mostly, waking up and seeing how things really are. And calling feminists man-haters. And the only reason that people do that is to try to discredit you so that you won't listen when you are making very valid points that make complete and total sense. All they can do is try to discredit you and paint you as a bitter old woman so nobody will listen to you or pay attention to you. And that's fine. If you want to call me a man-hater, you can totally go ahead and do that. It's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. And hopefully soon, women will wake up to the fact that painting women in a bad picture, in a bad light, just to make them look bad, is a form of patriarchy. Just like calling the woman who wants to be alone with her 7 cats the problem, when it's actually the lack of choices when it comes to good men. So there you go. In a nutshell, that is my very blanket statement of what patriarchy is and how it's affecting your life each and every day, how it's going to affect your daughter's lives and your niece's lives and your grandchildren's lives. So if you think that there is not a patriarchal system in place in this country, you are wrong. It is 100% patriarchal. And the reason that politicians are trying to roll back these rights that women have had, like the right to abortion, the right to birth control. There are some states now talking about getting rid of no-fault divorce, which means that women will have to prove that their husband is abusive to them or cheated on them in order to get a divorce. You can no longer just walk away from your marriage merely because you're unhappy or because you're being mentally abused. No, that's not going to be good enough. Not if they get rid of no-fault divorce. They are trying to roll back all of the rights that we have had the last 50 years because they are afraid of us catching up and then surpassing them. And that's not going to be good for anybody. So, if you would like to learn more about this patriarchal system, I urge you and encourage you to continue to listen to Change the Conversation with the Hopefulist each and every week. Please share it with your friends. Make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button and share it Tell people about it. There are all kinds of things taking place in this world right now, and we don't realize how unfair they are until we all talk about it together. And that is what I want to do. I want us all to wake up to this patriarchal system, to fight back against it, and to claim our lives as our own. You know, we've all been conditioned that we need to get married and have children. Some of us are not meant to get married and have children. And it's time to stop making those people feel bad. Or it's time to realize that maybe you were pushed into a situation that you didn't necessarily want to be in. And now you're feeling broken and lost and depressed, and you don't know why. Well, it's because you were sold a bill of goods that is not a blanket statement for everybody. Some people do think of being married with children as the prize, and that's great. And that's how humanity continues, by making it appealing, by making it something that people want to do. But forcing us to do it is not going to work for much longer. And I want you to have the life that you were meant to live, not the life you were conditioned to think you want to live. So please share this podcast. Please copy the link, send it to a friend. Give me a review on whatever platform you're listening on, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google or TuneIn, wherever you're listening to this. Please leave me a review and share this information with your friends. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.